Hi, and welcome back to this, what we are hoping will be a very short episode of Sloppy's DIY, titled, This Freaking Door. The reason it's called This Freaking Door is because of that.
Yeah, not great. So how did this happen? What are we looking at here?
So all the things that we use a lot are on the very bottom, and the things that we never use are on the top. So when I was making breakfast one day, I crouched down, and so that I wouldn't fall, I leaned on the door like an idiot, and then I fell down, and so did the door.
Well, I feel like we're probably going to be doing this project a lot with this little one who's starting to open and close the doors and walk around and stuff. So what's the game plan then?
I'm gonna remove this hinge here because I've reattached it about 5 times and it's come out each and every time. And we're gonna purchase another one from your local hardware store. So I was gonna just try to take the pieces of this that broke off, and I realized it was just gonna be easier on my body to remove the whole door. So I'm not like holding it the entire time.
Yeah, that's a tricky door because it's like a corner door.
Yeah. So what happens is that it's actually this freaking screw that holds this piece onto this piece that keeps coming out. And I can't tell if it's that the screw is stripped or the actual mechanism is stripped.
In the meantime, look at you.
I unscrewed
these things that's basically this hinge here to take apart the whole door mechanism. So, what is it looking like?
I'm gonna test it out right now. So this is the screw that holds the hinge. That's the part of the hinge that's attached to the door or whatever. But you can just push it straight in, right? You shouldn't be able to do that. I'm looking for a piece of stripped screw, and I'm actually not seeing any stripping on the screw itself. The screw looks fine. So that means that the threading inside of this hole here
Has been stripped.
is stripped.
All right, we are very appropriately dressed for where we are. Certain box reel tail that likes the color orange.
And this is not quite the one.
So we're looking at about $12, I guess. Replace that hinge.
It's even the right piece.
Does it have to be exactly the same?
I mean, if you want it to function the same as the one that's on top.
Or you could replace both of them. So as I feared, Home Depot did not have what we were looking for, but somebody did help us there. He suggested we look for a certain model online. So we left without a hinge, but we did get this pretty cool Donald Duck scarecrow thing that works for Halloween and fall. So not all was lost. Only 12 bucks, I think pretty much worth it.
This is the most important outdoor decoration piece of the entire season and year.
If you want to check out the other decorations that we did, I'll link the video below.
I claim this land in the name of Donald Duck.
Okay, so what's going on with the hinges?
All right, well, since we took them off and had the door just sitting there, when we got back, I was like, I can't just leave this door sitting here. So I was like, let me go put the door back up for now, temporarily. It'll hold for a minute. And then I noticed that there is a screw of some kind missing from the assembly for the bottom part that is always getting detached. So I'm gonna go and pull that door out right now and show you the piece that's missing. All right, so I have detached this door right here. Now, this is the top piece, the top hinge on this door, right? This is where it attaches to the part inside of the cabinet. This over here, this is the bottom piece, right? This is where it attaches to the cabinet. I'm gonna jump back and forth. Notice a difference? There's a screw right there in that hole for the top piece. There is no screw here for the bottom piece. That screw is causing this piece to be allowed to overextend, and probably part of the reason that it's falling out so easily. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look under the Lazy Susan in that cabinet, see if I find that screw, and maybe I could just fix this thing without having to spend $80 ordering new hinges on the internet. I did not have to look for very long to find that screw right there. So I'm gonna reattach it and we'll see if that helps at all. Now, it's my personal opinion that it's easier to just take these off the door and then attach the door afterward. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
So we went to Home Depot for no reason, hopefully.
No, it was not for no reason. We needed to pick up the Donald Duck. And the reason I didn't notice that this screw was out before was because since the entire door had detached previously, that screw came out of the top one as well. It didn't completely exit the assembly like this one, but it did unscrew. So the reason this door has been falling off may have a lot less to do with me putting my entire body weight on it than to do with the fact that it was constructed wrong. We've got these two holes. I can't even see them right there. This one and that one. Now, if you look at the assembly over here, you've got this screw right here, and then you've got one like this at the top up here, right? It's this screw. Now, when I try to attach the, great, I lost it. There it is. When I try to attach this screw into this hole right here, I did it about 15 times. It doesn't fit. You know why? Because this screw is actually meant to go over here. And this screw is meant to hold in the assembly right here. So they installed these screws backwards, and that's why every time that I try to attach it, it doesn't work. So this is correct. This is how it's supposed to be. And when I broke it, quote, it was like that, and this was just floating there attached to nothing because it doesn't fit into that hole. All right, Return of Sloppy, part 7. Now I know exactly what's going on with this thing. Check it out. The issue was not the screws. The issue was this piece being mounted completely backwards. So this, when flipped around, allows you to tighten this guy right here into this part, and allows you to tighten this screw into this part back here. Allow me to demonstrate. Alright, so this is the way it should be. This is the way that it was when I found it. But if you put it with this part reversed from how I found it, you can slide this screw over the back and then you untighten it. You basically spin it counterclockwise and it pulls this piece closer together. So I'm going to show you the two pieces, the difference between the two. I'm going to take them both out and show you why it's all messed up here. All right, so more discoveries. Only the bottom one was installed backwards, and the top one was installed correctly in the correct direction, but not attached properly. So this whole thing was just installed like by a drunk monkey or something. So I'm just gonna put it all back together and we're gonna be done with this. To reiterate, the issue here is that this mounting bracket here was put in backwards. These screws, this one right here and this one over here, they were in the right spot on the arm that connects to the door, but the mounting bracket was backwards. So these screws were not sinking into the holes that they belong to, which means that this first screw was not attached to anything, and this screw was in the hole for that screw, which was too large for it, so they kept getting loose and falling out. And that was only on the bottom one. On this top one, the bracket was installed in the right direction, but this screw right here was just not attached to anything. So on the top, you have this screw not attached to anything, and on the bottom here, you have the mounting bracket completely backwards, so these screws are not threading into the holes that they're supposed to be going into. So I had to reverse this bracket and then reattach everything. And for this one, fortunately I did not have to reattach the whole bracket and just tighten that screw up. And then problem solved. If I ever run into an issue like this ever again, I'm just going to completely dismantle the whole thing to see if there's some other issue that can be resolved by finding a missing piece. You know.
Ooh.
So another thing I would
Works
do.
well now.
Yeah.
Good
Another
job.
thing that I would do about that is I would put the mixing bowls on the top Lazy Susan. So I'm going to do that now, so I don't have to lean so low to pick them up.
Great job.